Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, The Shark, and Stryker. Today is our 170th episode, and we're discussing the 2021 I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 Years and Maxed Out My Level episode. We went to a dragon's wedding to start our second ever Isekai Month. So, let's get things started.
Oh, this sounds refreshing. I'd rather think about a wedding.
We previously did Isekai Month last year, and it was really a lot of fun for us to stretch our wings and go to a different type of media style, so this year, we're going to do it again. I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level. Started out as a light novel being published in 2016. It is about Azusa, an office worker who died from overwork and was ended up reincarnated in a new world as an ageless and immortal witch. She hunts slimes for a living, and after doing it for over 300 years, she has now become overpowered and spends the day with all of her friends. Let's just hope one of those slimes isn't Gooey from Kirby, because that would just be terrible.
Everybody got that? And yeah, you'll notice that the theme throughout this entire series is people overworking themselves and her being like, yo, you need to chill, man. So yeah, here's no different, as you'll see in a moment.
The episode begins with a shot of a forest before we pan down to see Laika, our dragoness of the episode, being comforted by another woman. Laika previously wanted to fight Azusa, but lost, and then decided that she would live with her as a result. Go ahead, Shark.
Laika will also eventually decide to work on stop-motion films, starting with the famous Caroline, and then, wait a minute, wrong Laika here.
Yeah.
Her human disguise here, because pretty much every single anime we're going to talk about probably has the dragonesses in human form in one way or another. This one has her with red hair, black horns, and a red dress, but thankfully, we do get a full dragoness form of her, and it is really impressive, so stay tuned for that. She then wakes up and stares at a pair of statues with a red dragon on top of both of them. She appears to be conflicted about something as we quite literally jump cut to Halkara, the elf woman, asking Azusa how many hearts she has broken over time. And it literally feels like a jump scare from like a horror movie, something like that. How it's a relatively quiet, introspective scene, and then it's an extreme close-up. And I don't know, just something about the way it was edited is kind of unintentionally funny.
Yeah, it's one of those hilarious jump scares where, like, the only thing I can really compare it to is this one little announcement trailer from the Amazing Digital Circus where it just cuts to Pomni sitting in a room feeling all melancholy, looking up at the ceiling, just contemplating her entire life. Then all of a sudden, fucking Kane jump scares her, and it's just like, you're supposed to feel scared, but you just end up laughing, because in a way you kind of expect it, but you also don't expect it.
Honestly, I think an even better comparison will be the one from Jurassic Park. All on.
Nice.
Azusa says she hasn't had any romantic relationships, as Halkara is surprised by this, especially considering that Azusa has been around for over 300 years. Halkara then says that she's never had a relationship either. When asked how old she is, Halkara says 15 plus 2, and 2,500 months, as Azusa realizes that means that Halkara is over 200 years old. The elf woman says that for her people, that means she's just starting to come into her own. Halkara then does a seductive dance with a lot of hip shaking, and obviously she learned all these moves from Gazelle from Zootopia. She then asks Falfa and Shalsha, the slime sisters, over what they think about love. Falfa hugs Azusa, saying how much she loves her mother, as Shalsha, reading a book, says the same as her in an unamused tone. They were a pair of slimes that Azusa could not bring herself to defeat, so she ended up basically becoming the mother to them in a very interesting plot.
It's actually a bit more involved than that. They are slime spirits that were created because Azusa has been killing so many slimes that effectively they pooled together to form these spirits after so many years. They were originally created as sort of a, we're so angry we're going to get revenge, but they decided to just be at peace and live with her instead. And effectively, because she created them from having killed so many slimes, she views them as her daughters.
Azusa then hugs them as Halkara clarifies she was actually talking about romantic love. Laika arrives, telling the others that breakfast is ready as she serves it. Before they start eating, Laika then tells him that she has to go home. We then cut to the opening, which starts with the slime dropping down onto the screen, and the slime designs for me really remind me a lot of Kirby characters. I could very easily see these guys being Kirby enemies. It's very surprising. The opening is set to the song Gouda Foi Every Day, and the lyrics are all about how Azusa wants to relax and how she wants to take it easy, with a spoken interlude about how hardships keep coming up despite all this, and one day she will finally be at peace, cementing what the show is about there. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
This is without mentioning that the whole thing is in Japanese, which, yeah, if you're not a native Japanese speaker, you're going to be a little confused and find this a little bit lackadaisical. Don't get me wrong, I like the whole premise, but how it's executed is a little off to me, so consider this one of the weaker openings of Isekai Month.
The opening is performed by our main voice actress, Aoyuki, the Queen of Cute in Japan.
Going with what you were saying, which is a bit confusing to get, it's because at one point in this intro, the singer just goes at much speed. She sings a whole verse like in seconds, and it's like, wait, I know I don't speak Japanese, and it's like, wait, what is she even saying?
Yeah, it's like, like, good lordy, lady.
I think this will help you guys explain this a bit. Aoyuki was the voice actress and the singer for So I'm a Spider. She is notorious for being able to just turn out lines at incredible speed, which is why they have her do this. The intent of the intro is to be like chaotic and wild to show how just goofy and weird the anime is, and I think it delivers that perfectly.
Yeah, even then, though, I feel it works better for something like So I'm a Spider, since it's like used at the credits and it doesn't kind of comes at the end after literally everything that's happened in the show. Could be a little better, you know.
The intro starts with a shot of Azusa watering her plants, then the various portraits and photos of her life. A group of cardboard monsters all approach the house, and these are the best looking cardboard monsters since the New Adventures of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, let me tell you. The monsters then turn into Azusa's friends in various shots, as she then breaks the fourth wall, ripping the screen as a rainbow transition appears. A group of slimes then all bounce around before they form the title. We then get various shots of all the characters, including Laika in her dragoness form, using it to heat up rice with her fire breath. Man, she should get a job at the restaurant in another world with that kind of ability. After various shots of the other characters, we then slowly zoom into a mansion before seeing other monster girls. We then see the girls riding on Laika's back, which is obviously the best part of the intro, as she flies next to Flatort, who is another dragoness. It is then revealed that they are all suddenly on top of a giant whale, which, to someone like me who had never seen a second of the show before doing this podcast, really had to make me sit back and scratch my head over what was going on. We then cut to various characters dancing, including Halkara doing the same dance moves as before. After various shots of both Azusa and the other characters, we then get a shot of all the slimes bouncing together on a sound wave. Obviously, they're actually the Wubbas from Mario Wonder, and the talking flower is watching this show all like, so jiggly!
Yep. He wants to eat the slimes as well.
He would be a great protagonist in the show. The intro ends with the headshots of all the characters, then back to the plant from the beginning in the window. The episode itself continues with Halkara, Falfa, and Shalsha all being shocked that Laika is leaving, begging her not to go. Azusa asks why she wants to move out, as Laika clarifies that she didn't mean she wanted to move out. Before she can explain, Halkara grabs her shoulders and says that although they're student and master, they're also family and she can't leave. Laika then explains that her older sister is getting married and she has to go back for the wedding. This is just the same exact setup as Cars on the Road, and I know what's going to happen next. This reminds me of the time I killed slimes for 300 years. Mater, you did not kill slimes for 300 years. What are you talking about? You was there too. What?
I'd believe that. I mean, literally, the queen traveled back in time with Mater, so anything's possible.
Laika then asks if all of them will go with her, as they all are excited. We then get the episode's title card as it's behind a curtain, with a group of slimes on the title card looking particularly cute. After the title card, we see Laika flying in her dragoness form as Azusa narrates, saying how they were flying to Mount Roko where her family lives. While Azusa, Falfa, and Shalsha are enjoying the flight, Halkara gets air sickness. As they stop to let her recover, Azusa tells Halkara that she shouldn't try to push herself like that. Halkara then says that Azusa is, quote, such a kind and considerate person, and then says, you can give me a kiss to feel better, as we see her having rainbow-colored drool, which is very interesting. Azusa says, Absolutely not.
What makes that scene even worse is the fact that in Japan, that rainbow-colored stuff is actually vomit. They can't really show that because reasons. Definitely don't want that kind of context being in America.
We then cut to them all flying off once again. We find out also that Laika is able to talk in her Dragoness form, as she tells the others that Mount Ruku is up ahead. What's interesting is, when the dragons talk, they don't seem to have lip sync. How they do it is they open their mouths and say a full sentence, which is really unique. I'm not going to lie. I have to give them credit for that. That is something I have never seen any other dragon in any of the other media done before. So props to them for that. As they fly over the mountain, we see that the entire town is made up of red dragons, which is a species of dragon that is not considered a monster, still in their dragon forms. A pair of dragonesses all greet Laika and say how it's good that she's back. Laika, in a little emotion bubble, gushes about how good one of the other dragonesses' wings are. The dragoness then says, although her wings look nice, it's what they can improve on that really matters.
Something I like about the dragons in this series is that by just looking at a group, you probably think, oh, they all look the same, but if you pause or just look closer, at their hair or maybe even some marks on their body, no, there are small differences that actually tell you which character is which.
I give them credit for that. That is something that they didn't have to do. They could have probably just taken their designs and just copy and pasted, but they didn't, and I'm glad they did. As Laika gushes about how wise her friend is, Azusa quips, "Why do I feel like I'm at a school for rich girls?" in a pretty good gag. Laika then explains that these girls are underclassmen that I went to school with, shocking Azusa as she remarks how they look like juniors to me. Laika then takes her friends to her family as the slimes remark about how big everything is. Laika then warns them not to step on a plate or they'll be mistaken for food, as a dragon nearly puts Halkara in her mouth. We then cut to Halkara on the ground frightened. We then see Laika introduce her friends to her mother and father. What's interesting here is they actually differentiate the male dragons and the female dragons, because the male dragons all have Asian-style whiskers where the females don't. It appears that there are way more female red dragons than there are male red dragons, even excluding Francis Dollarhide.
This is immediately based for more females than males.
Laika's mother says how nice it is to see them, as Laika's father jokes about hoping that their wings aren't tired. He then laughs so loud, it shakes the ground and the others have to cover their ears, which this actually really made me laugh. I was not expecting that gag. It's such a simple one, but it works so well. Laika tells her father to calm down as they have guests, as the father says, "Pardon me," and then laughs loudly again. Laika's mother says how her daughter mentions them in her letters and hopes that she isn't causing too much trouble. Azusa says how she was a big help as Layla, Laika's sister, arrives. She also has her fiancé with her as Laika shows her all the others. Halkara wants to know all about how they met, as Azusa says how she's big into love stories with a bemused expression. Layla explains how she and her fiancé were childhood friends, but lost touch and reconnected 80 years later, where they then fell in love. Laika's father remarks how it has been a peaceful situation and hopes it stays that way. Azusa asks if he's afraid of trouble, as he remarks how not all dragon tribes are peaceful, and we currently see images of fierce blue dragons, and it is at this point where the show has gone from cute slice-of-life anime, now it's basically Team Fortress 2.
Yep.
Yeah, or basically a less complicated red versus blue before Bungie decided to drop the nuke on all its stuff and go all 343 industries.
Or it could be a reference to the moon war between the red Dorito bag and the blue Doritos bag. Whoever gets that reference gets a cookie.
I do.
The blue dragons then arrive and all breathe ice all over the red dragon's food. As Halkara and the Slime Sisters cower, Laika explains that those are the blue dragons from another province and how they are both shameless and barbarians. The leader of the blue dragons, Flatorte, lands and explains how she sees they're having a wedding and how that, and direct quote here, pisses her off so that they are to ruin it. Maleficent would be very, very proud of Flatorte for this, ruining someone else's celebration.
Yeah, they're ruining everything. They even froze the food. And I will just say, they're lucky there was no succulent seafood in there, because if there was, a certain plumber will go and beat every single blue dragon in the sky.
Hopefully he doesn't do that to Olivia, because she's blue too, but thankfully she's not like them. As Laika explains that Flatorte is the bully queen of the blue dragons, Azusa notes how she sounds like she's a pain in the ass, which Definitely is not language I was expecting from this kind of show, but Flatort then screams out how dare you get married? You're not even 300, and I'm over 400, and I'm still single. Comedy on the show is really well written. I was very pleasantly surprised at how just funny this show was. I wasn't expecting big things when I went into this, but I came out of it really enjoying this show.
Yep, anything with dragons is a good time.
She then says how she ruined more than the rehearsal, as she says that she sent more blue dragons to freeze the volcano entirely. Let's just hope it's not Mr. Volcano, because then how else will he get his new hydrating Volvic revive? Laika's father says that if they want to fight, they'll give it to them. All of the red dragons then proceed to roar as the slime sisters cower to Azusa, while Halkora is lying on the ground. When Azusa asks what she's doing, Halkora says that her grandfather told her to play dead or a dragon will kill you. A red dragon then stomps directly near her as she panics, screaming how, "My grandfather was wrong!" in a really hilarious chibi expression. Obviously, her grandfather also told her to never run for a bus, especially if it's going at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
The foursome then run past various dragons and dragonesses as they all begin to fight each other. Azusa casts a spell to protect them, as Laika tells Flatort to stop this. Flatort mentions, "Remember what happened to the last dragon tribe that fought against me?" Laika tells Flatort that she will lose, as Flatort tells her to bring it on. The two begin to have a mid-air fight that is really well animated and choreographed, and this is one little nitpick I have of the show. I wanted to see this fight sequence go on for longer, just two giant dragonesses going at it, because this just looks so fluidly. It's amazing.
In this Isekai series, which is in a sort of sub-genre I like to call Isekai, because it's just a cute, casual slice of life Isekai series, they have two armies of dragons going head-to-head in dragon form, and they animate it in high quality. God bless Japan, never change.
We need more stuff like this, let's be real.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes from chibi and standard fare animation to some pretty kick-ass and fluid stuff most of the time at the drop of a dime. And in action scenes like this, it is definitely worth watching, especially since it's a witch girl kicking the ass out of dragons.
We then cut away to see the four non-dragons watching all this. Halkora notes how good Laika is fighting, as Azusa is proud of her. She then reflects on all of the damage and how it's making her angry, but since this is a dragon fight, it's not her fight. However, a male blue dragon then slams down near them and asks if they're friends with the red dragon. As Azusa says that this isn't their fight, the blue dragon says that any friend of the red dragons mean that they're his enemies, as he prepares to blast them with ice breath. Azusa then marches up to him and asks who does he think he is, as she kicks him in the face, knocking him off a cliff. And this is only the beginning of showing how just overpowered she is, to which that actually really surprised me. I knew she was overpowered. I didn't think she was this overpowered.
Welcome to Isekai, where the main protag is pretty much overpowered unless plot reasons happen.
She then tells Halkora to take the Slime Sisters to safety, while she'll try to help out here. She then talks to herself about how she has the maximum power, and how she is going to protect her family no matter what, taking off her cloak to show how serious she is. We then cut to Laika and her father wondering what they could do before fireballs begin raining from the sky. It turns out to be from Azusa, who levitates downwards and glares at the blue dragons. The red dragons then all continue to fight the blue dragons, as Azusa takes out several of them, actually grabbing one of them by the tail and swinging him around. Obviously, she played a lot of Mario 64 before she went to this world.
Absolutely. In her free time, anyways.
So long, dragon.
As a guy that watched this entire series, up to this point, it had been relatively decent animation, just nice, casual, calm stuff. So there wasn't anything really big or any high-quality animation, just really good, competent animation all the way through. So I was thinking, oh, okay, so this is how they're going to save money, because there's nothing that really needs to be animated in high power or with great fluidity. And then this fight started, and I was like, oh, this is where the budget went. Smart people, thank you.
Well, spending a lot of money on dragonesses is definitely the best way they could spend a budget ever. A group of blue dragons then all try to attack her at once, only for her to block it with a protective spell, and she flies over to beat them up. As Laika's father is shocked at this, Laika tells Azusa that Flatort is behind her. Flatort asks who the hell does she think she is, and that a human cannot defeat a dragon. Azusa says that Rome wasn't built in a day, as Flatorte is confused at this, and I like this. I really do like how she has no idea what Rome is because it's a completely different world. That's such a cute little bit of world building that they didn't have to do, but I'm glad that they did. She then explains that if you do something slow and steady, you'll eventually have something great, as she kicks Flatorch in the snout. The dragoness threatens to freeze her solid and blasts her with an ice beam, only for Azusa to block the attack with a stream of flame, eventually breaking her concentration. Azusa then kicks Flatorch from above, causing her to have a really hilarious reaction. Like, this face is probably the funniest face of the episode, and an intentionally funny one too. It really got a good laugh out of me. As she is knocked out of the sky to the ground, Azusa asks the other blue dragons who's next as they all start fleeing in terror. Laika then holds Azusa up in her hands, with the human looking so tiny in it that, again, is a really nice detail. She then says that Azusa, the, quote, Witch of the Highlands, managed to save them all. However, it turns out that there are several blue dragons that are currently going to the volcano in an attempt to freeze it. Laika tells Azusa to climb on her back and they'll see what's going on. We then get a little eye catch of two slime-themed ice creams wobbling around, which is very unique. Something I was not expecting, let's say it that way.
Yeah, it's one of those middle of the episode things where it's like, we'll be right back. Here's something cute to tide you over.
That's what eye catches are, actually.
I'm pretty sure that ice cream was made by Laios and Senshi.
When we get back to the show, we then cut to the volcano in a nearby town. Laika, now in her human form, tells Azusa how this town is famous for its hot springs, and she hopes that nothing happens to it, as Azusa says that everything seems normal. Obviously, what's going to happen is they're going to challenge Flannery for the gym battle badge, and wait, no, that's another anime, never mind.
If only.
Laika then says that if everything's alright, they can go along with the wedding, as she says that her sister and her fiancé deserves a happy day. Azusa says that this will all be cleared up soon and they'll have a happy wedding, as Laika is happy at this. Hearing a strange noise, the two go over to see a group of blue dragons and a seal. As the two note that the seal is draining the power of the blue dragons, Beezlebub arrives and asks them what they're doing there. And no, this is not the one from the Helviverse, unfortunately, but still a pretty good one. This design is not a stereotypical devil. She's actually just a white-haired woman with a set of black devil horns. She explains that this volcano has great hot springs and that she goes there to relax and unwind. She then goes on to explain that the blue dragons arrived and began yelling about how they would cause trouble. By using her demon magic, she managed to weaken them and kept them in status. Azusa is amazed at how powerful she is, as Beelzebub explains that she is 3,000 years old and she never loses. Then angrily clarifies that Azusa managed to beat her because she cheated. Obviously, she's going to take notes from Waluigi because next time I cheat. As she haughtily says that no human can surpass her strength, Azusa then thanks her for saving the volcano and everyone else there. Beelzebub tries pushing her off, yelling about how she didn't mean to save anyone, and how she did it just to teach the blue dragons a lesson. This actually kind of reminds me of the episode of the Powerpuff Girls where Mojo Jojo gives the Powerpuff Girls their baseball back, and he winds up on front page news because of it, and everyone treats him as a hero. Azusa then places her head near Beelzebub's breast and sniffs her, saying how good she smells, which, yeah, as someone who just watched this anime for the first time, this kind of weirded me out, not gonna lie.
Welcome to Japan, where that sort of thing is commonplace.
Normal anime happenings.
As Beelzebub says that it's from the hot springs, we cut to an exterior shot of the volcano as she yells at Azusa to stop touching her. We then cut back to the red dragons as they are all busy healing their wounds, while all the blue dragons are in their seals. The two slime sisters say about how they were scared, as Halkara asks if everything was alright at the volcano. Azusa explains about Beelzebub, as the demon explains that she was there for the hot springs, nothing more. Azusa says that they'll finish this, then asks Falafel Tart, who angrily then screams her name is Flatort, to turn it into her human form so they can discuss this further. Okay, Azusa, you're very overpowered, you've killed slimes for 3,000 years, God bless you, but you have no taste. You don't want to keep her as a giant dragoness? I mean, come on.
Not based in a show that is based. How dare she?
But After Flatort turns human, one thing to point out, she actually does have her tail here, which, very interesting thing to note because I don't think the red dragons have their tails when they're in their human form. After Flatort turns human, Laika presents her with a bill for all of the damages and suffering she caused, and Flatort will pay it all back. Flatort is shocked at this, as Laika says that if she doesn't pay it, she will never be able to move again.
Yeah. Wait, that's not the right bill. That bill is $100 that Mr. Krabs owes the restaurants. Here's the actual bill, $1 million.
Nice, nice. As Flatort agrees, Azusa says it's not over yet, as she wants to create a treaty between the red and blue dragons. And this is a great thing and all. Let's just hope that creating a treaty won't cause Squidward to show up in Fort Squidward, because that wasn't the peace treaty, that was a copy of the peace treaty.
Nice.
As Azusa says there will be no more bullying from the blue dragons to the red dragons, Flatort begins to tear up, saying that's what she lives for. Azusa then walks up and threatens her, saying, "Do you want to stay here forever with no chance of going home?" with a really kind of creepy ear-to-ear smile. As Flatort says that Azusa is scaring her, which she is, Azusa then says that the matter is now settled and the red and blue dragons are finally at peace. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
The reason Azusa looks so scary here is because, as we said at the beginning, this is a woman who literally died of overworking. So the idea of threats to her are giving people overtime.
Yeah. Also, not gonna lie, for being an overall theme of the series, like telling people to relax when they're overworking themselves, it's actually done in pretty subtle ways. Like this episode in particular, not only using it as a sort of punishment, but also being reflected in other episodes in ways that not only reflects the characters themselves, but also helps them grow as individuals and not make them suffer the same fate that she has. She's done it in the past before, and it literally killed her, so other people shouldn't follow in that particular set of footsteps and should strive to take a break once in a while. Props to the show for doing that.
Beelzebub says that she is there to witness the treaty being signed and that if either side ever breaks the pact, bad things will happen to them. Flatort then appears in chibi form, bowing to the ground and crying that she never should have done this in the first place. Azusa then says that Beelzebub is her hero, as Beelzebub is annoyed at this. Then even more annoyed when Azusa hugs her tight, and right now, you're probably thinking, oh yeah, that was a nice episode, now it's time for the question of the week and then the Dragoness Scale. It's all done. No, we now have another 7 minutes of episode left. Even though you would think this would be the logical endpoint of the episode because, well, the conflict is solved, the red and blue dragons are at peace, and now they can go on with the wedding. But I do like that they actually continue it because we actually get to see more of it. I do like that.
If Homer was there, he would be like, hey, everything got solved earlier than usual.
Yeah, if this was your typical shonen anime, you'd be absolutely right. This would be where they would end the episode because conclusion done, we're all set. I had the big battle, everyone's hunky-dory. This is one of those comfy, we're just going to enjoy the vibes anime. So, of course, we have to spend a good portion of it on enjoying the pretty wedding.
And because of that, we then cut to the inside of a banquet hall, as Laika tells Azusa that all of the dragons take their human forms to the reception, to which I have to ask just one question. Why? Like, it doesn't even make sense from like a logistics standpoint, because they're giant dragons. They all live in a village of dragons. You think that if they were to do this inside, they would have dragon-themed homes or something like that? Because we saw them eating off of dragon-sized plates earlier, so obviously they have stuff scaled up to them. Scaled up, haha. I don't know, it just feels like kind of weird, and I don't know why.
I'm probably going to chalk that up to being a sort of courtesy, since like it's probably part of their tradition or something. Go down to human size and just celebrate the way most normal people do, which doesn't help, but it's an explanation. Another idea is that we see a few other dragons as humans in shops in said village, and there are a bunch of human-sized buildings. Probably something having to do with the fact that not everyone's accustomed to seeing giant dragons. At the end of the day, though, I gotta agree here. This is a wedding. Unless it's like specifically stated to be like part of their tradition, then why even bother doing it?
They actually explain it in the show itself, for as much of a cheap cop-out as this is. Saves on the food bill.
Fair.
As the Slime Sisters talk about how full they are, Halkara stumbles towards them, having gotten drunk off of dragon alcohol, and talks about how good it tastes. Azusa says that she's been doing a lot of eating and drinking and should be careful. Halkara drunkenly says she's fine, as she says that she got sick earlier, with Azusa saying that's what she means. Beelzebub remarks how Halkara has the energy drink going for her, but absolutely nothing else, and let's just hope that her energy drink turned out way better than the Ed's energy drink.
Yeah.
Layla and their husband then arrive in their human forms, as Layla thanks Azusa for everything. Azusa says it's nothing, as Beelzebub gloats about how she defeated the blue dragons. The two then argue over how the latter is acting, as Layla giggles at this, saying how she's glad her sister has good friends and she won't be worried about her. Leica then tries telling her sister that she loves her, but is interrupted by her fiancé. Flatorch then arrives in her human form, and appears to be upset as she gives a rose to the couple, telling them that she hopes they have a happy life while looking annoyed and upset. Layla is shocked at this, as Flatorton remarks how she wanted to ruin their day, but since she lost, she then decides to give them her blessing. Azusa says how the blue dragon bully isn't so bad after all, as Layla says how we'll live happily for you because you'll never marry. Wow, I mean, I know you're a fire dragon, but did you have to burn her that badly?
Yeesh.
You could say that was a bit cold.
Yeah. Ice cold.
Flator tries taking it back, saying how she hopes they get divorced in a week, as Azusa and Leica says that the red and blue dragons have a long way to go for their relationship. We cut to at night where Azusa says that she ate too much, and says how she hopes Halkara is okay. Leica asks Azusa to lay her head in her lap as she explains how she was the tomboy of the family and how she was a great fighter. She then talks about how whenever she got upset, she would lie in her sister's lap to comfort herself. We then see a flashback of this happening from the intro of the episode, and I do like this. I like how it shows us something with more clarity this time. Azusa asks if Leica is afraid her sister won't do this to her anymore as she's married, before saying that Azusa will do it for her instead. Leica says that this one will be special as she thanks Azusa for everything, and she lies her head on the witch's lap, and the two just sit and reflect. This is a very nice scene, very calm, very chill scene. We then cut to Halkara incredibly drunk with her butt way in the air as she mumbles about being able to drink all the others underneath the table. Which, if that doesn't tell you what kind of show this is.
It's Japan, don't question it.
Beelzebub, muttering how she's nothing but trouble, picks her up as Halkara says she feels sick. Beelzebub then threatens Halkara if she throws up on her, saying how she'll cut her up into a million pieces, causing Halkara to get scared and hold it in. Oh, go ahead, Stryker.
I was about to say from earlier, this is another example of Japan liking series about cute girls doing cute things.
Beelzebub then offers for all of them to stay at the hot springs for the night, as Halkara is too drunk to go home, as all of the others are so excited about this. Leica says that they'll make the arrangements as the others all cheer. We then cut to an exterior shot of the hot springs, as Beelzebub notes that although the others can be very annoying, it's also fun to be around them. Azusa says how Beelzebub is like a big sister to them, as the demon is confused at this. Azusa then explains how the slimes are her daughters, Leica is her little sister, and Beelzebub is her big sister. They all laugh at this as Halkara is upset, asking if she could be part of the family. Azusa jokes that Halkara is the troublemaking pet of the family, as the others all laugh at her. The episode ends with a shot of a dragon rubber duck, which looks absolutely adorable, and I want one right now.
Yes!
I'm sure they'll make a collectible.
We then get to the closing theme, which begins with still shots of Azusa in her full outfit. Then the slimes transitions us to her walking along before all of her friends start to join her. After another still shot of all of them, we get panels of all of the characters sliding in, and the closing theme itself ends with another shot of the exterior of the house.
A quick note about the ending theme, Beautiful Days. It is performed by Flatort's voice actress.
Interesting.
Okay, that's cool.
I did not notice that. That is something unique. Huh. I've been killing slimes for over 300 years, etc., etc. Proved to be very successful. It actually got a second season in 2025, with it actually being animated by a different studio, which is actually pretty interesting. Makes me wonder if we'll ever talk about it in the future, because it could be interesting. I really enjoyed this show. I did not know what to expect when I first saw this. I was probably expecting it to be just a generic slice of life anime, isekai, but what I got instead was really something that was funny, it was well written, it was well animated. This show in general is just so well made. I am really impressed by it.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's got a lot of cute moments and a lot of heartfelt moments and messages, but sad to say, it's not one of my favorites. Most of the puns, yeah, are definitely blink and you miss it, but they're also hit or miss. Like, you're gonna really enjoy them or think that they're okay. And while I can't really speak for everybody else on here, I personally think that this show, while still enjoyable, is one of those that kind of is taking the brunt of a bunch of other isekai that do the same thing, but not as well as something like this.
To see what other fun Isekai Month 2 provides us, because it's not over yet. It's only just getting started, and we have a lot more fun Isekai to talk about. But it's going to lead to the question of the week, which is, what is your favorite wedding episode? And this could be an episode of a cartoon, of a live-action show. I'll go first, and my answer is probably going to be the big one, just to get out of the way. It's going to be A Canterlot Wedding Part 1 and Part 2. I was pretty big into the Brony fandom in 2012 when this show came out. I watched this episode premiere on a live stream. When the big reveal of Princess Cadence being evil and being a changeling like Queen Chrysalis, the entire chat lost their minds. The website actually slowed down to where you couldn't see the show for about 5-10 minutes because of it. That is just how big this was for the fandom at the time. Completely blew everybody's minds. It introduced the Changelings and Queen Chrysalis, who really is probably one of the best cartoon villains of recent years, let's be real. It has great musical numbers. It introduces to Princess Cadance and Shining Armor, two characters who the fandom was really split about at first, but then they really grew to like them and they made them their own, and I'm really glad that they did. Overall, it's just one of those shows that I think really showed how Season 2 was going to take everything Season 1 had of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and just increase the stakes, increase everything, completely stack it up. They did such a great job with that for the rest of the series, every single season finale afterwards, except of course her Magical Mystery Cure, but regardless, every other single season finale tried chasing that high to what in my opinion was increasingly diminishing returns, because you never were going to get something as big as Queen Chrysalis' reveal. That was just so well animated. Like I say, it blew a whole fandom's minds when it happened. Although you could make arguments that yes, the rest of the main six didn't get a lot of screen time. Yes, Celestia was out of character in a little bit of it. Regardless, I really have to say that it is an iconic episode. Probably one of the, I'd say, top 5 My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episodes, period. So yeah, that's going to be my pick. It's going to be A Canterlot Wedding Part 1 and Part 2 for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
I don't think like Season 2 is probably like the biggest, it's like the peak of the entire franchise. Season 2 is when the fandom got its biggest boom of newcomers and all of that.
Yeah, it was the one where the Fiery Joker, aka Josh Scorcher, ultimately decided to go full on into reviewing My Little Pony episodes, officially making him a brony. So, mad props, Season 2. Mad props.
I'm actually happy for him. That entire review series is actually really fun.
I really feel that nothing, not just Friends of the Mad, but like My Little Pony as a whole, it set the bar so high that it really makes you wonder what's going to happen with this new movie and with G6 and all that in general. I really feel like for the rest of it, they're just going to be trying chasing this high, which is kind of sad in a way, but regardless, it doesn't make the episode any less enjoyable. So yeah, that's definitely going to be my pick. Let's see, Angron, what would your pick be?
As my earlier little soliloquy gave away, mine is going to be the Steven Universe episode, Gem Wedding. Yeah, this is a pretty important episode in Steven Universe for a lot of reasons. Number one, Ruby and Sapphire reuniting as Garnet officially. Number 2, the fact that it pits the crystal gems against the diamonds at long last. The diamonds at this point have been built up to be powerful, flawed beings that are trying to do what needs to be done in order to make a functioning gem civilization. How they go about it, kind of a interesting little thing. But here, however, is where everything that's been built up throughout the entire series comes to a head. Reveals, love, the music is pretty amazing. So many things, to be honest. Yeah, what helps with that is the action, the stakes, everything about this and more made Steven Universe one of those shows that's, while it's not the perfect show, I've made that point clear back a long time ago when we talked about our favorite Cartoon Network shows, but I will personally say that the third place ain't a bad place for Steven Universe, and this right here is definitely why, in my opinion. So yeah, that's going to be my pick, Gem Wedding.
Like I say, that's an episode 2 that really speaks to a lot of people because, again, it was such a big moment, not just for the show, but the culture in general, and it's easy to see why. So, let's see, Matt, what would your pick be for your favorite wedding episode?
Continuing with my answer from last week, it's a Bluey episode specifically, The Sign. It is so far Bluey's only long form episode, clocking in at about 28 minutes. And the reason I'm choosing this one is because unlike so many other wedding shows or movies that show it as either some incredibly high production, you will never see this in your life thing, or just a walking joke at every turn, this one lays it relatively straight. Like, this is as down to earth and realistic as possible. A last minute fight and just running away from the wedding. You see that all the time with actual real people where they just need to cool down for a bit. The way that the wedding is presented when it actually does happen is so just like typical family thing, not the high production fancy frou-frou stuff. Just how the people are all talking with each other, interacting, just like it's an actual gathering, not like a fancy high society thing. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that Bluey is willing to show things realistic as they are, not the sort of idealized version of things that we have.
I can definitely agree with you there because, again, like you said, it's interesting how a show like that takes it so much more realistically than really more adult shows do.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
So let's see, Shark, what would your pick be for your favorite wedding episode?
First things first, turns out that the word episode doesn't necessarily mean that it's something from a TV show or cartoon. Episode can mean an event. Episode can mean like just plot. And yeah, one of my favorite pieces of media that has like a wedding theme throughout its story is something that I would like to say recent, but honestly it's about to become 10 years old. So the funny thing is that in this story, the protagonist is not having a wedding. He's trying to get to a wedding, but it's to stop it. And I'm talking about Super Mario Odyssey! Woohoo!
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nice.
This grand debut on the Nintendo Switch had to be big because, the new system and it's been a while since we had like the typical 3D Mario since the Galaxy games because 3D Land and 3D World were more of a mix of the 2D and 3D games. So yeah, it was a big pressure for this return to the 3D norm at least, and they hit it out of the park because good luck. This is easily one of the best games ever made, and yes, like I said, the story is that yes, Bowser kidnaps Peach, but this time he's planning to actually have a wedding. Like, the whole story is that Mario travels through different worlds, and all of them are based on actual real-life locations, like, well, Nidon City is New York, obviously, the Sand Kingdom is Mexico, the Beach Kingdom is based on the beaches of France and all of that, and you get there and discover that, oh, Bowser stole this for his wedding, oh, he stole the flowers here, oh, he stole the cake here, he stole the ring from the temple and all of that. And yeah, you explore, and again, all the worlds are amazing. There, variety, the missions you have to get moons, not stars. You get moons here, and of course, the grand mechanic with Cappy, it's the capture. Mario can actually possess enemies and use their abilities to, move around, resolve puzzles, or even fight bosses. And it's like, wow, like yeah, they knew the Mario's first game on the Nintendo Switch had to be big, and they made it so. It's amazing, it looks great, the music is fantastic, and speaking of, this is the game that helped Pauline return to the main cast and become an ensemble of the Mario character. So yeah, that's gonna be my answer for it.
That's a great choice right there because, again, Mario Odyssey became one of the highest selling Mario games for a reason, and it really has held up perfectly. It has not aged at all. I mean, granted, it's not that long ago, but still, it is such a well-crafted game that It really makes you wonder when we're going to get another 3D style Mario adventure like that.
Maybe take a while because the team that did Mario Odyssey, it's the same team that did Donkey Kong Bonanza, and yeah, that one's great, but I'll save that story for another question of the week.
Yep, so these guys really know what they're doing, which is awesome. Let's see, Stryker, what would your pick be for your favorite wedding episode?
To be honest, I never actually thought much of weddings in media, but the only one that's at the top of my head is the Rugrats in Paris. I really don't have much of an opinion with wedding episodes, unfortunately.
Before SpongeBob, we had to realize that Rugrats was the biggest thing that Nickelodeon had for a while, so they put everything in there, and I really hope one day we can cover something from Klasky Scupo, because, man, say what you will about them, you love them, you hate them, you cannot deny that those guys didn't have style and how everything looked.
Yeah.
There was no other show on
Yeah.
television that looked like anything they put out.
Oh, yeah,
And like I say, Rugrats itself was a really fun show. And even though after the movie, a lot of people didn't like it, I still thought it had a lot of good moments. Yep, really good choices all around right there. Now it is time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale, where we are going to rank not one, but two characters. We're going to talk about Laika and Flatort, because basically they both share the same type of characterization in the episode. Now, as for Laika, design, 10 out of 10, perfect, no notes. Characterization, 10 out of 10, no notes. I really, really, really debated this. This is one of the hardest rankings I have ever had to do for the podcast to date, because she is so great. Don't get me wrong, I love everything about her, but yet she is just missing something. Just a little bit something that would make her better, that would actually give her a perfect score. There's some tiny little element in her that is missing. It makes me wonder, try to piece what it even is, because overall she is a fantastic character, but she's not a 10 out of 10 character. She is, however, a 9 out of 10 character, which is what I am going to give her. And as for Flatort, I am going to give her one score a little bit lower with an 8 out of 10, because I like what they did with Flatort. They gave her a lot of characterization. They could have just made her, generic evil dragoness is here to stop the good guys, but they did give her subtlety and nuance, and I really do like that. At the same time, also with her, it feels like she's missing just a tiny little thing. Maybe when we eventually talk about season 2 of this show, she will have more depth with her. But with that being said, they are getting a 9 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10, which is still a really good score for both of them. Let's see, Angron, what would you give them?
Yeah, 9 out of 10 for Laika, because, pretty much everything you said. I feel what's missing with her is the fact that compared to her, across various different isekais, we see characters like Laika in the way that her mouth movement happens, the fact that her design is a little bit generic, even with a few unique touches here and there, and the fact that, generally speaking, she pretty much starts out the same way most dragons do in isekai. They're all, I'm gonna beat your ass because I am powerful and shit, and then they get humbled by the main protagonist and they're like, okay, I serve you now, but you don't hurt me. Which, doesn't always stay that way, but at the same time, basically one of those things that you come to expect for a isekai, and in that regard, she's not exactly unique, I feel. Still, though, pretty good, and the fact we got her as she was in the series definitely makes her a 9 out of 10. And Flatort, pretty much the same, but she actively starts out antagonistic. She's just the rabble-rouser. She's there to cause problems. She's the darn dirty blue that Starch would absolutely have a field day over. Boomstick and all. Overall, how they ultimately deal with her and how she ultimately is in the show definitely gives her an 8 out of 10 quality. Nothing too crazy, but at the end of the day, I do think a little bit of diversity with Laika and Flatort would have been better. In fact, the thing could have been Laika's sister falling in love with a blue. That would have been majorly impressive. But as is, I'm giving them the scores that they currently have, 9 and 8 respectively.
So, let's see, Math, what would yours be?
Mine cheats a little bit because I've seen the entire series, so I'm a bit more in depth with these characters, and I've seen the full range of them rather than just in the episode itself. Laika is a 10. She is a fantastic character throughout the whole show. She's sort of the inciting incident for why the series even kicks off in the first place, and a lot of the show is Azusa, but I would say that Laika is just as much the focal point as Azusa is. She has so much built around her and done with her and her own growth as a character, as well as Azusa's. Latort, I was stuck on for a long time what to give her, because on the one hand, Laika is just the better character. I'm going to say that flat out. In the series, if you're comparing the two dragons, I prefer Laika over Flatort any day of the week. But on the other hand, am I giving these ratings to compare these characters to each other, or how they are as characters in general? And I finally decided on rating them in general rather than trying to compare characters in the same series. And what really helps Flatort is that she has a really big showing in season 2. And they do so much with her and give her so much more to do and bring about her personality, her characteristics, her just goofiness as well to really blend in with the rest of the group. So because season 2 helped her so much, I give her a 10 as well.
Whoa, definitely makes me excited whenever we get to season 2, because I really want to see what they do with her then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So let's see,
Absolutely.
Shark, what would you give them?
Well, it's kind of similar too, because yeah, Laika is like really great. Like, I love the design, the fact that she still stalks a dragon. She's cute, funny, but she can be badass as she, like in the fight scene we see. But the fight scene is kind of the thing I can't really give her a 10, because you mentioned it during the episode. We don't really see that badass side of her too much. Like, kind of feels like they're trying too hard on being like, oh, cute and all of that. But I might say that maybe other episodes give her more balance. Maybe more episodes do actually show her fighting more. As of now, I kind of do want to see more of the fighting side of her. I didn't get that much, so I'm gonna go with a 9 for Laika. Flatort is it's kind of weird, because I really like when she's a dragon, I love that, because yeah, she's threatening, but she has her funny moments as well as a dragon. I do like that, again, even though they are recolors, she actually has like her own like things that actually distinguish the hair from the other dragons, like not only the blue color, but other stuff like hair and horns. Something I find kind of weird though is that, don't you guys kind of feel like she's a completely different personality when she changes into a human form? If you show me a clips of her as a dragon and then show me clips of her as a human and told me that they are different characters, I kind of will believe you. Like, I don't know, something happened there between the forms that they don't feel like the same character. So for Flatort, I kind of want to go with a 7 out of 10, honestly.
Let's see, Stryker, what would you give them?
Honestly, Laika is my favorite character of the series, so she absolutely gets a 10 for me. I haven't seen much of Flatort yet, so for now, I think I'll give her an 8 out of 10. She is a very unique character, I will say that. It's just, I don't have much of an opinion on her right now.
So yeah, pretty interesting scores all around. They all got really high marks, which was not surprising because there were so many dragonesses on this show. And yeah, that means that Laika is currently our highest rated character on Isekai Month, tied with Tomoe from Tsukimichi last year. And will any dragoness break that? We will have to see later this month. But that'll be it for this week. If you have any questions, or if you want to see this modded into Tyrion Fortress 2, you can feel free to email us at fiorydiscourse@outlook.com. Visit us at Twitter at twitter.com/fiorydiscourse. Be sure to visit us at Blue Sky at Blue Sky Fiery Discourse. Be sure to subscribe to the Fiery Discourse YouTube channel. Subscribe to the playlist. Like and hit the bell icon. Leave a comment. Any all comments are appreciated. Next week, we're going to be talking about the 2019 Ari Fioretta episode, Dragon Slayer, to continue our second ever Isekai Month. That'll be something a lot more adult than this, let's say.
Indeed.
Yep. That'll be until next week. And until then, thank you all so much for listening and take care.
Later, y'all.
Peace out.
Laters.
Adios. See you all next week.